Hi everyone, how have you been? First of all, I'm sorry about the late, okay? The last live we made in Portuguese. Uh, we had a lot of things to say. It was a long live, but here we are. And today we are going to make a coconut moist cake. I really like that recipe. It's very traditional here in Brazil. In 80s probably, in each birthday party that you come in Brazil during the 80s, you would find a coconut moist cake like that. In Portuguese it's called toalha felpuda de coco. Coco is coconut, but it has this name because it's almost like a velvet. It's very soft and moist. I really like it. My mouth is watering right now, but we are going to make this recipe and I would like to finish it in Christmas theme. Okay, so this is the ready one, and this is not a gift, this is actually the coconut moist cake. Look, this is an amazing gift to give someone or to receive from someone. So this is our first Christmas idea, and we are going to make this recipe today. Is everything okay with the sound and with the internet connection? Please let us know.
All right, and Shavana is with us.
Yay! Hi, Shavina! So we are going to start, because actually we are going to make 3 recipes for this cake. Okay, we're going to make the batter, the cake batter, which is a sponge cake, a little bit slightly different sponge cake. We are going to make the coconut brigadeiro. Brigadeiro is very traditional here in Brazil. It's a cream that you make using sweet condensed milk, and we're going to make the coconut. But we are going to get a texture to feel things. It's not exactly the brigadeiro texture, because when we make brigadeiro, we need to make it very thick to be able to roll it with our hands. But in this recipe, we want to get this consistent here. It's softer than brigadeiro, okay? But it is a brigadeiro because it is made with sweet condensed milk. So we're going to make this recipe. We're going to make the batter, and we are going to make how can I call it? In Brazil we call it calda. It's not syrup, because syrup is made of sugar. It is not made of sugar. But we are going to make a liquid. I don't know how to say in English, but we are also going this. It's not syrup because it's not made of sugar. I don't think it's syrup. So we are going to make this, which is a blend of sweet condensed milk, and coconut. We are going to blend it, and we are going to use it to how can I say that? To moist the cake. We are going to use on the layer cake, and it will get very moist and soft and really tasty. Okay, so we need to hurry because we are going to make different recipes to make everything in one recipe here. But we are going to start by the brigadeiro. Guys, I really like brigadeiro. Here in Brazil, we eat brigadeiro since we are a child. We are going to use half can of sweet condensed milk, which is 200 grams of sweet condensed milk.
And half the recipe.
Yes.
É porque você falou lá.
Ah, foi? Depois a gente...
A gente falou que era metade. Tá?
Certo, mas vai ser suficiente. Essa parte vai ser suficiente. So back to English. This I'm saying half recipe, but it is for this batter. So you can wrote half recipe, okay? Which is 200 grams of sweet condensed milk, 200 grams of cream, and I suggest you to make with the cream with 17% of fat, not the heavy cream, the liquid cream, okay? Is going to be better for this recipe. So we are going to put the sweet content milk, the coconut, which is 50 grams of shredded coconut. This is the natural one, this is the fresh one. You can also use those ones that you buy in the supermarket in packages, like this. Huh? Shred coconut. And this one is the industrialized one. If you can't find in your city, in your country like this, the fresh one, you can use that. But like this, it's a lot better. Here in Brazil, since it's a tropical country, we find that a lot. There's coconut all around, so this is something very traditional here. We are going to use the natural one. So we are going to put sweet content milk, coconut, and we are going to cook. So Tomás, come here. I'm going to start cooking only the sweet content milk with coconut. We are not going to add the cream right now, only later, okay? Only after we have thick cream. So I'm going to start by high heat. And usually in the Brigadeiro recipe, when we make chocolate Brigadeiro or white Brigadeiro, for example, we need to add butter. In this case, I'm not going to add any butter since the coconut is already too oily. So we are going to make without the butter because there's no need to add. And in this step, it's really important that you use a spatula, a rubber spatula, because this is going to make sure that you scrape all of the bottom and sides. When you do that, I don't want you to stir like this. Can you see? I want you to put straight and scrape like strongly, like this. So you stir vigorously in the middle and you scrape the sides and the middle. And then you stir, and then you scrape. And this is the movement that you are going to make in the next minutes. If you are used to pastry cream, for example, you know exactly what I'm saying, because once we make pastry cream, we need to stir like a lot, and you cannot make this movement slowly, otherwise it's going to stick into the pan and it's not nice. Okay, so you need to stir it, scrape. This is how we make brigadeiro. If you want to make exactly the brigadeiro, the bold ones, it's only the difference about stages. You need to cook it until it gets really, really thick. But in this case, we are going to cook until it gets thick, but we are going to add cream. And we will end up with a filling texture. Guys, it smells so good. After boiling, you can reduce the heat and keep stirring. I wish you guys were here in my kitchen to try brigadeiro. So, especially after boiling, you need to stir it non-stop. It's really important. Stir and scrape, stir and scrape. Can you see how thick it is getting? I really like changing the position of the pan to make sure you are going to stir all parts, because sometimes when we are stirring there's this blind side, okay, that we think we are stirring all over, but we are actually not. And that's why it's really important for you to do that, to make sure you are stirring all of the pan. So since it is already thick, I'm going to add the cream first half, and then we stir. And after everything gets homogeneous, we are going to add the rest of it. Ta-da! So some people here in Brazil, they do add the cream and then they turn off the heat. I don't like doing that, because once you do like this, you will end up with how can I say that? Ooh. With a cream that is only going to last a few days. When you cook all of it, you make sure it is going to last a few more days, okay? It will take longer. So once I added all the cream, I'm going to high the heat only a little bit until it boils again. Ui. Watch out. Ui. Please don't get burned. Tomás, which is filming us, he's like, oh my God. So once it starts to boil, please reduce the heat to make sure you won't burn yourself. And once it starts to boil again, 1 more minute is enough. If you are going to use this inside of a cake, you need to cook it more. But since we're going to make layers inside of something, there's no need to make it really, really thick. So that's it. It's ready. Let's come back to the bench and I'm going to show you. Opa. So here is. You need to remember that once this cream, it's already hot, is still hot, it looks thinner, but it looks like it was more liquid. But once it cools down, it is going to get more thick, okay? I'm going to put it in a bowl. Put it straight on the freezer. To allow it to cool. It's really nice to cook a cream and put straight on the freezer, because by doing that you are allowing your cream to last longer. Because once you do that, you kill all the organisms inside and you are going to end up with longer lasting. So I'm going to put a plastic sheet on top of the cream and straight to the freezer, okay? Tem brigadeiro na minha cara, tonto, viu? Tem? Não, é só porque voou na minha cara naquela hora. I'm asking Tomás if there's brigadeiro on my face. So we are going to do the next part now, which is the batter. Okay, so for that we are going to make a sponge cake, but I'm going to use the traditional technique for sponge cake because usually people start whipping the egg whites and then they add the yolks and then they add the sugar and then they add the solid parts, the powder part of the recipe. But once you do that, you end up with a very oozy, a very runny sponge cake, and I want a structure. For me, it is really important to have a structure, to have a very airy sponge cake, and I'm going to use a technique that I usually make it for the bem casado, which are different, which are a very traditional sweet here in Brazil, made of sponge cake, dulce de leche, and we bath it in sugar and vanilla syrup. It's really, really tasty. So for that, I'm going to get something to separate the whites from the yolks, like here. And we are going to use 5 eggs. So first of all, focus on the whites, and then you can put the yolk here. This is a very small and thin sieve, sieve, right? Sieve. Okay, so this is a very thin sieve, and we are doing that to remove a little bit the skin from the egg yolk, because the skin is responsible for the egg smell. Okay?
Sieve.
Sieve.
Sorry.
Um, for this recipe, it is okay that you only sieve the egg yolks like that. But once we make a bem casado, which we use the sponge cake right with the dulce de leche, there's no need, no adding extra flavor. If we do only that, the bem casado ends up with the egg smell. So when I make bem casado, I usually make a ritual or a technique that once you make it, every time you make it, you end up with 0 egg smell. It's very amazing, and once you learn that, you can add in any recipe that you want. It's really, really nice. Who already has the Bem Casado class know what I'm saying. So for my Bem Casado students, you can do that ritual to remove the egg smell in this recipe. But if you don't have the Bem Casado class, it's fine. You can do like I'm doing right now. It's not going to end up with egg smell, especially because in this recipe there's a lot of coconut flavor. So it's going to work out fine, okay? So I just touch it with a fork, and I'm going to wait until it oozes everything out here, and we are going to start our batter. Oh, look. Olha. Look, we are going to start whipping the egg whites with half of sugar for 3 minutes. And we're going to, no, with egg yolk. And we are going to whip it until it gets really light and clean and creamy, okay? So after that, we are going to add the solid parts, the dry ingredients, which are potato starch and also flour. And in this part, we are going to add the baking powder, okay? Did you put the recipe already, Pedro?
Yes.
Everything okay?
Yes.
So a lot of people ask me, Nat, what about potato starch? Why is that necessary? And also, where can I find it? Potato starch is the flour of the potato, and it's very, very fine. Can you see? It's almost like um, it's almost like a cornstarch, but once we substitute for cornstarch, the the batter end up a little bit more dry. So I really don't like substituting potato starch for cornstarch because they end up with different textures. I really prefer potato starch that gives me a more cakey texture than a cookie texture when we use the cornstarch. So we are going to sift together the potato starch, the flour, all-purpose flour, and baking powder. Just sift together. So this part is ready. São, pode pegar o prato inteiro. So let me help the egg yolk here to be faster. I need to go fast because the boys are eating all cake, and I'm really afraid that we don't have cake enough to put those layers here. I'm kidding. They got desperate right now. So let's just wait until it stops using out. But you need to remember that we have the skins here, so not all of the content here is going to go through the sieve. Okay, so I'm going to remove, and we are going to use only this part inside of the bowl. So Tomás is going to set a timer for that. 3 minutes. I'm going to stir it by hand, to make sure everything is blended and is not going to end up with sides. And maximum speed, 3 minutes is going to be enough. Here. I'm going to use both pans here to spread the dough once it's ready. So for that, we are going to use baking paper. I have one ready here, and I'm going to have the other. Tu liga lá o forno? So, guys, are you guys going to work during Christmas? Do you usually accept orders on Christmas? How does that work for you all? Please answer. Quanto tempo, Tom? So that's it. 3 minutes are gone. This is how this part looks like. Very light, very creamy. This is going to have the egg smell, okay? So I'm going to remove from the stand mixer bowl because now we are going to start whipping the egg whites, okay? If you have 2 bowls of stand mixer, you can use meanwhile you can add the rest of the ingredients here, and then you can start already to whip your egg white. Since I have only one, I'm going to remove it from here, wash the stand mixer bowl, and start whipping the egg whites. So, alguém perguntou, Pedro? Alguém respondeu? So, I'm going to remove. And I'm going to wash it really, really quickly, and I'll be right back. Where is my towel? get another one. Tu pegou, Tomás? Já foi. So you need to make sure to dry it because we are going to whip the egg whites, and if there's any rest of humidity here in the bowl or in the whisk, the egg whites won't grow, they should. So make sure to dry everything. Muriçoca me atacando. So make sure to use a paper towel as well. Here. And now we are going to start whipping. I'm going to add in the egg whites half of sugar, but not only that, I'm also going to add cream of tartar. I'm not sure if you guys know this ingredient, but it is really important once we are making a meringue. So we are going to add between 1 and 2 grams of cream of tartar, okay? Like this. Here, and egg whites. And then we are going to whip for 4 minutes. So Tomás is going to set the timer and medium speed. So, meanwhile, we are going to, as soon as it starts to get large bubbles, we are going to add half of this amount of sugar, okay? Not all of that, only half. And then keep whipping. Medium speed is really important for meringues because by doing that, you make sure to develop your meringue with balance, because once you add a very aggressive speed, you end up with large bubbles that they can smash out with time. So it's really important to use medium speed on that. Okay, and now we have a very creamy and light egg yolks with sugar. We are going to put here the dry ingredients and also the milk. So I'm going to split the dry ingredients in 3 parts and the milk in 2 parts. We're going to add 1/3 of dry ingredients, half of milk, 1/3 of dry ingredients, half of milk, ending up with the last part of dry ingredients. Okay, so for that we're going to use a fouet. One-third. And now it's time to add the last part of sugar. So if you would like to have a standard time for adding the sugar, the whole process is going to last 4 minutes. But once it reaches 45 seconds, you add half. And once it reaches 2 minutes and 25 seconds, you add the rest of it. And then you start, and then you keep whipping until it gets 1/3. and then half milk, it's very nice to add the dry ingredients in this part because we don't have egg white structure here, so this is the time that you can stir it without being worried about breaking the egg white. So this is why I really like this technique to make sponge cake. So last part of milk. Foi? 4 minutos. So it's ready. Look how the egg whites should look. They are very stiff, but also very balanced and creamy. Look how they should look like this. Can you see? Like this. So this is the perfect stage for them. So just added the last part of dry ingredients, and I'm going to stir it until everything is homogeneous, and then we're going to finish with egg whites. So, look how gorgeous it is. We are going to add only half of this meringue here, not all of it. We are going to make these folding movements, scraping the sides and the bottom and rotating the hand. It's the same of the macarronage movement. Be gentle, okay? It's really important to do it gently. Like this. Look how beautiful this batter is. And then the rest. Make sure to do it slowly, patiently, gently. Look how gorgeous this batter is. So that's it. As soon as everything is at the same color, everything gets the same texture, it's time to stop There's no need to oversteer it, to overfold it. And I really recommend that you don't, because once it reaches the perfect stage, once you overmix it, it starts to get really unstable and starts to oozing out, okay? Starts to ooze out. So we are going to spread in these two pans here. No, so no. So put everything. I'm going to use an offset spatula to spread it properly. Let me just put all of them together like this.
What's the size of your pans?
They are. Tom, pega uma régua na secretaria. We are going to find out. We're going to get a ruler and find it out.
It's Shavina.
Hi, Shavina. So, obrigada. Thirty-five centimeters for 25 centimeters. That's it. So this recipe that we made, we ended up with two of those pans, 35 for 25. Now, Tomás is going to put on the oven here, preheating oven. If your oven has a fan, you're going to set at 160 Celsius degrees. If you use a regular oven without fan, I suggest you to use 180 Celsius degrees. On my oven, it took 15 minutes to get ready, okay? But it's going to be slightly different for each oven. I'm saying that, I keep saying that all the time because every oven is different. So I suggest you to move when it gets to this color here. It needs to golden a little bit. It's really important. If you, once it is 15 minutes, if you remove when it's too white, it is going to wrinkle a little bit and it's not nice. Okay, so here I have the ready batter. It's already baked. I have, let me check the filling if it's ready. It's not completely cold. The middle is still warm, but here is the perfect, it has the perfect texture to pipe, and this is the one already in the pastry bag with piping tip. This piping tip I'm using is the same I use for macarons and then recheados. It's a round tip of 1 centimeter large, okay? You can use two Wilton's 2A or 1A, they will all fit. I have the filling here, I have the batter here, and for the syrup, I also have a ready one here, the syrup, the liquid we're going to moist the cake. This one I made using... Pedro, a meia receita vai ser suficiente, tá? Tu já botou aí? Não, ainda não? Então coloca assim: 200 grams of sweet condensed milk, 1 can and a half of coconut milk, and 50 grams of shredded coconut. Like I said, I really prefer that you use the fresh one, but if you can find in your city, it is completely okay that you use fine, you can use it, but this one tastes a lot better. So I just used a hand blender, okay? I just put everything here together, the sweet condensed milk, the coconut shred, and the coconut milk, and I just hand blended, okay? And this is how it looks like. The same for the coconut milk. The taste is a lot better when you do your own coconut milk. Okay, this one I made, but you can also buy in the supermarket. It is fine, but it will taste better if you make it fresh. Do you guys know how to make the coconut milk? If you want, I can say it is fine, okay, how I did it. So, we are going to sorry, we are going to assemble now using these kind of boxes here, this and that. These were the ones that I found on my city, but you can use any kinds. They are made of plastic, and it's really nice to make them like this because they are going to resemble small gifts, and they are really nice. Hi.
Shabna, please say the coconut milk.
How are you? So I just made my coconut milk like this. I used 2 cans of fresh coconut shred, fresh and shred coconut, 2 cans for 1 can of water. I just put in the blender and o forno abriu. Vai lá fechar. Não abriu? Tem que empurrar até o final. My oven just opened from nowhere, alone, by himself. He just opened it, and I heard the noise, and I knew he was opening, so that was happened. So, in that blender, 2 cans of coconut shred and 1 can of water, blend it like for 3 minutes, okay? And then you are going to sift it using a fabric like this. I don't know its name in English, but it's very fine. A lot of people use that to make vegetable milks. They are really nice. So it's just to put like this and pour the coconut milk, and then you smash it like that to make sure to remove all of the liquid. This coconut milk you can freeze up to 2 months. It's really nice for making them because you can use in many recipes. Also, if you have any kind of allergy, like a dairy allergy, you can use to drink coffee. Coconut milk in the coffee tastes really good. And you can make also salty recipes. Here in Brazil, we have a lot of salty recipes using coconut milk. And the taste is a lot better than those ones that we buy ready on the supermarket. Okay, so it's very easy to make this here, especially if you have the coconut milk ready in the freezer. To assemble, we are going to let me get a knife. Let me use that one. I'm going to cut the sides. Guys, this cake tastes so good. You can use this as a template and you can use it to cut. It's okay. And then it will end up like this. You just press it until it reaches the bottom, like this. It's all in the bottom. I'm going to get another one, only to cut. So it is really important that you use a lot of this liquid to get a very moisty cake. One of the most important characteristics of this cake is that it's really, really moisty. So you need to use more of this liquid than you think you should put, okay? So use a fork to make small holes on the cake to make sure it will absorb more liquid. And I'm going to use this to help me. And wait. Vem cá, Tom.
Shavna asked a question I didn't understand. Is it cheesecloth or muslin cloth? Acho que é referência ao pão paninho, não?
Can you repeat?
She asked, is it cheesecloth or muslin cloth? Deve ser muslin cloth. Cheesecloth or muslin cloth?
My dear, I'm not sure. I don't know those words. If you could explain me better, because my English is not very good and sometimes I miss.
Não, cheese é queijo.
Eu sei.
É pessoa um paninho pra fazer queijo.
Cheesecloth. If you can explain me better, maybe I can answer that, but I'm not sure. So, when she answers, please let me know, okay, Pedro?
Okay.
So, if you want to make lots of them, I really suggest that you use the fork like this, because by doing that, you don't need to make in every box like that. You can make all of them at once. So after everything is absorbed, you can put the layer of filling. Less than 1 centimeter or 1 centimeter is enough. Then I'm going to cut the next one, remove, and place. And we are going to do the same with the liquid. I just used the wrong side. I should have put the one that I used the fork up, but it's okay. I'm going to do better next time. And as you can see, it takes a few seconds for the cake to absorb. So if you are making a large amount of those, I suggest you to make in series, like put all of the layers, put all of the liquids, and then you come back, because by doing that, you're going to make it more fast, okay?
Não, é cheesecloth. Cheesecloth parece gaze.
É tipo isso. É, então pode...
O único que você usou?
É tipo gaze?
É muito mais... Os buracos são muito mais abertos, né?
The boys are searching for the cheesecloth. So, now it is absorbed here. Since we are going to put a lid, there's no need for you to worry about how it does look, but you can use the industrialized coconut shred just to put a thin layer and make sure it will look a little bit better. Like this. And then close it. And we are going to use this to make the ribbon. So I just made the golden one, and I'm going to make now the red one. As I said, I am finalizing that as Christmas gift, and this cake is an amazing idea if you want to sell those on Christmas. And this is actually the kind of package that I like to do on Christmas, because sometimes we buy a Santa Claus shape box or Christmas tree shaped box, and if we don't sell all of those, we are going to end up with a lot of boxes stored in our house during all year long. So I really suggested you buy those kinds of boxes that you can sell all year long, and invest on Christmas colors, for example, like red, like green, like golden color. Can you see how cute it is? Wait. Ta-da! Tomás? Look how cute. I'm going to make one of those. And just cut it. I'm not sure if this one is going to look good. Maybe I prefer the black one, but I'm going to make it anyway. Pode tirar lá, Tomás. So, use a fork. guys, this tastes so good. Now I'm going to put the layer of the coconut brigadeiro. I cannot put too much, otherwise we won't have space to place the other.
Shabnaz asked me if those two boxes are bottom line.
Sorry, what?
The boxes where you bought them.
I bought them here in my city, in one of the pastry supply store. It was interesting to find it here because here in my city we can find barely anything here. It's actually a small city in Brazil, so thank you. But I'm sure you can find many options online. I really like them as well. I think they are cute. So I'm going to put the last layer. I'm going to press it a little bit. When you do those transparent ones, it's nice because you can see what is inside. I think I put it too much. I think I'm going to eat this one. So I'm going to put a little bit of coconut. I really don't suggest you finalize with fresh one. First of all, because it doesn't look as good as this one, and also because it won't last long if you use fresh one. So if you want to make a big amount of those, you can freeze these better here, the baked one. You can freeze this liquid used to moist the cake, and you can freeze the brigadeiro. And I suggest that one day before of the order date, you assemble everything, and then you leave in the fridge until the time that the customer is going to take the order. But I do not suggest that you leave in the fridge for more than 2 or 3 days, because coconut, it doesn't last too long, and I don't want you to end up with, how can I say that, azedo, sour cake. Because once we make something of coconut and we leave a lot of time in the fridge, it gets this sour taste. It's not nice. So I'm going to finish one with this ribbon here. Let me just fix it. Ah, I'm talking about Christmas, guys, but you can make them anytime. You can make them during the weekend. You can put on your catalog. This cake tastes really, really, really good. I really hope that you make it home. Do we have any questions, Pedro?
No.
No? So I'm gonna try. and I'm going to show you how it is inside. After a few hours, everything will be moisty here inside, and it will taste really better. It's really nice to eat them. If you have any questions, please direct message us or email us, or you can send us an WhatsApp message. Please make this recipe. I'm really sure that you are going to like. Okay? And that's it. Bye.